Welcome back everyone to the Way Out West YouTube channel. Rob here, President of the club. Today I present an interview with the fabulous Pete Cornelius. Pete and the band are coming over from Tassie to be at our club this coming Sunday, the 5th of March. So sit back and enjoy the interview. Also, I'd like to say that I mucked up with the 8-Ball Aitken interview. It's finally up on YouTube. What I did was left it at private so no one could view it but me. So it's made public now, and it's a great interview, and you'll learn a lot about 8-Ball living in Nashville and also Austin, Texas. So please sit back and enjoy, and don't forget to hit the subscribe and like buttons. See you on the other side. Dorf,
Yeah.
I believe you're having a birthday today. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Fantastic.
It's my birthday today.
Happy
Last day
birthday.
of summer. Yep.
I didn't realise it was your birthday,
Thanks, mate.
otherwise I wouldn't have got you working. But if I could sing, mate, I'd sing
That's all
happy
good.
birthday, but you wouldn't be happy with that. You'd get the big
Look, any gift's a good gift.
Hey, so I've got a few questions I'll throw at you. You've probably heard some of
Yeah.
these before, but can you tell me something about your early life down in Tassie? Was music a big part of family life, and what age did you get to pick up the guitar at?
Yeah, music was, well, I wouldn't say it was a part of my family's life. There was music around. It wasn't by any means a thing that my folks did or supported. I guess until they sort of realized I was into it. And I think I was taking piano lessons when I was about 6 or 7. And I think I took piano lessons for about 3 years. I just used to love it because we had a piano at home, and I just used to make up some cool sort of boogie woogie sort of stuff. That was kind of my first love of music, was like an old school R&B boogie woogie. You know, I thought Bill Haley and the Comets and Elvis Presley was like the bomb. And I used to love that stuff so much. I still do, really. But I must have been about 9 or 10. I started playing guitar, and then Dad showed an interest in drumming. So he started playing the drums a bit, and we kind of like learnt a lot about music together, I suppose. Yeah. So yeah, definitely a great support. Like both parents, mum and dad, were great supporters of what I did. And it was so cool having my dad play drums with me in my band for, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 years, maybe even more. It was a while, yeah.
Fantastic. So you still reside down in Tassie. What's the blues scene like down there at the moment?
It's one of those things. I think the blues is one of those genres that it's always going to be. It's never mainstream, but it's like soul and jazz and funk and reggae. It's just one of those styles of music that's always going to exist because it's such people music. It's just music that people can give out their emotions to. So I think the blues is definitely a good scene. Like, I'm not saying it doesn't exist down here, but I'm saying it's it comes and goes in its strength. But there are a few venues around. There are a few bluesish bands around. It's not. I don't know. It's definitely okay. Like, there's the Forth Valley Blues Festival's been going for 21 years, and that's on next month. There's a blues festival in Hobart, which has been going for about 5 years now. The Hobart Brewing Company. So there is definitely support for blues music, and I think it's just one of those things that are going to be slightly underground all the time. Yeah.
I know one of our great favourites, in fact, he was the second to play Way Out West 20-something years ago, is Dave Steele. Do you ever run into Dave?
Oh, yeah. It's funny. Tassie's a small place, but because he lives on the other end of the island, he lives down around sort of Cygnet, Huonville way. I haven't bumped into him yet. I know that he's down here, and I've sort of talked over email and stuff with him, but I haven't yet caught up with Dave yet. So I have to put that on my list of things to do for 2023.
If you do, say good day, will you, mate?
Yeah.
So talking about like blues music down in Tassie, I mean, there's quite a big blues scene here in Melbourne, as you're well aware of. Was there any ever consideration of relocating to Melbourne, or is Tassie just too great a place to live?
Now, Melbourne was a huge draw card for me. I guess when maybe between 18, 19 through to about 25, for that period of my life, I was really pining to live in Melbourne because of the great players, the great venues, and the great opportunities that are in a bigger city. And at that point, I didn't have any sort of tight. Well, I had my parents and my sisters as family, but I didn't really have any tight relationships or things like that making me stay home. But in saying that, I never gave in. I couldn't leave. Such a great environment to play music and to just have a great lifestyle. And I think my musical career has always been on this. I wouldn't say back burner, but it's always taken second place as opposed to lifestyle and friends and family. Yeah.
What about some of your early guitar influences? Because you have a really beautiful style of playing. I think maybe even Robin Ford or someone like that. Have you got many influences that you fall back on?
Yeah, I haven't listened to Robin for a long time, but when I was in those influencing early days, definitely Robin was a big part of my playing, just with that crossover jazz, blues, rock sort of stuff. And because, well, he does sing a lot too, but I also liked the fact he could just play an instrumental song, or most of his albums have 2 or 3 instrumentals. I think a lot of the early influences would have come from my dad's records that he had at the time, which would have been the Fleetwood Mac with the great Peter Green, Santana, sort of for that sort of Woodstock period, Santana, Dave Gilmour from the Floyd, Richie Blackmore from the Deep Purple was a big influence. And then Stevie Ray Vaughan, Clapton, that Cream era, or John Mayall and the Blues Breakers sort of era, Clapton. And then Hendrix, I suppose, was the next thing. I thought Hendrix was too noisy and too wild when I was a kid, but I slowly came to appreciate that, and yeah, I think he's incredible.
I was looking at your
website. I don't know, it always changes.
I was looking at your website today, and I was intrigued by the elephant room that you mentioned on your website. Does that have anything to do? I mean, do you live near the Elephant Pass, and what do you do in the elephant room? Tell us all about it.
All right, so yeah, you're on the money there. The elephant room. So yeah, I do live on Elephant Pass, which is basically between St Mary's and the coast. So we're about 5 k's from the water. So we end up in the sort of hinterland. We're about 300 meters elevation here. We've got a house, and it's only really, as the crow flies, maybe 10 k's from where I grew up as a kid. So I grew up on the elephant's trunk, whereas now I'm sort of on the elephant's ass. As you look at it, when you go down the Fingal Valley, you sort of look at the mountain. It does look like an elephant. So, but the elephant room itself is a studio that I've kind of put together in the last maybe 10 years. I've always had a love for studio audio stuff, and I've recorded most of my records, and I've done a couple here now, and I sort of bring a few clients in, I sort of make records and produce records for other people, and it's just a good space to rehearse in or to make a noise and not wake up the tribe. Yeah, so that's the elephant room. Yeah.
I know the Elephant Pass really well because we had friends that lived there for 3 years, and we used to visit.
Sure. Yeah,
And
right.
yeah, we'd go up a little winding track, and I remember too that we'd go down onto the coast, and there was plenty of crayfish down there.
There is crayfish about. You just got to find the right little crack in a rock.
Yeah,
Hopefully it's got a big king in there, and yeah, it just reminds me of Christmas crayfish.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful part of the world. When you're playing live, tell us about what I can see all the guitars behind you. What's your choice of guitar on stage that brings out the Peter Cornelius sound?
I don't know. Initially, I was a Stratocaster guy forever, and I think that came from those great players I mentioned. If you think about Clapton, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix, Gilmore, Blackmore, they all played Strats. So that was probably what drew me to it, was that so many of my great influences played those guitars, and they all had their own voice. That's what I was really amazed by. Like, one instrument can cover so many grounds. So I had a Strat early days. I sort of saved up, and I got my first Strat, which was a Stevie Ray Vaughan signature Strat, which is still over there. It's that Sunburst one over there, and I use it a lot. And I probably am most comfortable on a Strat. Just the shape and the feel of it, all the different tonal options. But I guess as I got older and I had, saved up more money, sort of thought I'd buy more, try more. I love a Telecaster because of their simplicity, and they have a great way of bringing out the player. Like, they have a tone. They also a great blank canvas in a way that the player can really create their own sound. And then I sort of experimented a lot with hollow body guitars, a lot of sort of 50s, 60s style hollow body, cheap instruments like K and Silvertones and harmonies. A lot of Gretches. I mean, been a fan of like that early rock and roll, that rockabilly style. I was into Brian Setzer a lot as well. He was that kind of king of the bring back neo rockabilly stuff. So he kind of influenced a lot of Gretsch guitars that I have since purchased. I don't know. I always like to change it up. I sort of sold my Chevy that I had for a long time, and I bought a few different guitars out of that. And
Good choice, mate.
I don't know. They all, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well, the Chevy was just costing me money, whereas guitars make me money. So.
When you mentioned the Telecaster, did you ever get to see the master of the Telecaster play, Albert Collins?
No, I never got the chance, unfortunately. No, I met up with his drummer in Chicago, or one of his drummers, Marty Binder, who's on that live at Mount Fuji recording. Played a few times with Marty, but yeah, definitely a master, Mr. Collins.
I got to see him twice. Once was at the old festival hall, and I still remember to this day and getting off the stage and walking down. I mean, it wasn't. He had the cord because it wasn't digital or whatever. Walking down and out onto the street at the front of festival hall, still playing the band rocking. It was sensational.
Wow.
Yeah,
I've heard stories about his long guitar leads. Yeah.
I think I'm right in saying that your last CD release was 2019's Doing Me Good. Is there anything else in the pipeline now?
Yeah, so in 2020, I might have been 21 by the time it came out. There was a Tasmanian compilation record that I produced and put together called The Lockdown Lowdown, Songs from Solitude. And that's got 4 other Tasmanian rhythm and blues or rootsy artists on it. So that was a record that I put out, and I contributed 2 songs on that. I think that was, like I said, 2020. 2021. But yes, there is plans for a new record. I keep, that's what's one downside about having your own space, is that it's quite easy to just go, oh, I'll do that tomorrow, or I'll put that off. Whereas if you book an actual established studio, it's like you have to commit, and nothing like a deadline to commit. But yeah, I am meeting up with a producer in a few weeks. We're going to talk about potential things for this year. So,
oh, fantastic.
Definitely something's going to happen.
Well, I guess to Tassie's that slower lifestyle. I remember once I've been to New Orleans a heap of times, and I was walking somewhere. Must have been too fast for New Orleans, because this African American guy, cool guy, says, "Slow down, boy. This is New Orleans. You don't walk that fast."
Yeah, I can relate.
I spoke about your website before, and I was looking through it today. It is a sensational website. Did you do that, or did you have someone do it, or did you do that yourself? The website.
I did it myself. There is an actual really cool host for musicians called Bandzoogle. It's like a subscription. You have to put all your own photos, and you can choose between like a million different templates and stuff. But it's a really great space for selling your own merch and having your own a gig guide on it. You can have a mailing list on it. You have tip jars on it. You can have a mailing list. So it's a really cool facility for artists, and they take zero commission. You just pay your annual fee, and it's a pretty good site.
Yeah.
So
we should get the word out about that, because it just looks so good.
Yeah.
And I was also interested to look at the podcasts that you're still running those, and if people want to get involved with your podcast, how do they get involved and have a listen?
Okay, so the podcast is called Say It With Guitars, and it's through all the different podcast streaming avenues. So you can listen to it through Spotify or through Apple playlists, or you can go to my website and listen to it from there as well. Pretty much every provider that does play podcasts, you can subscribe to it. So yes, which basically just it's like a safe space for guitar players or producers or makers or luthiers or collectors, just to hang out and have a chat about an hour long, thereabouts. And last year I was doing them every 2 weeks, and I think there was about 20 episodes. I'm taking a bit of a break just during this crazy summer period of gigs and tours and stuff like that. So I think next couple of months I'll start doing some more interview recordings and getting back into it. It's been a whole lot of fun, actually, just talking to guitar players, and some really good feedback from people who enjoy the show. And yeah,
fantastic.
Good.
Last time I saw you play live was up at Echuca Blues Festival, and it's about that cold here in Melbourne today. But the band was on fire when I seen them. Are they the same guys coming over to Melbourne with you on this tour? And who have you got in your band?
Yeah, so it's the same guys that were at Echuca. So it's my regular bass player, Simon Holmes, who lives up at St Helens, so only about 40 minutes from me. My drummer, who plays with me around Tassie, he's got a young family, and he sort of struggles to get away for much time. So I'm lucky to have a good friend who's an ex-Tasmanian, live in Melbourne, Mr. Liam O'Leary on drums. And Liam is a great drummer, good guy. We played at Thredbo Festival just gone with Liam, and Liam's also with Collard's Greens and Gravy at the moment. So he plays a lot with Ian Collard and Benny Peters. So he's a great dude, good drummer, and definitely look forward to playing the Way Out West Club.
Yeah, I mucked up because I believe we've got you were telling Dave Padrock, we've got a support tour on Sunday. You're playing on Sunday, the 5th of March at our place. There's a band playing before you, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, so they're another Tasmanian group. They're called Halfway to Fourth, and they're two brothers from the famous Lizotte family. So Uncle Mark, aka Diesel. and they're such lovely, talented boys, and they sing great songs and make really nice music. So they're playing with us on Sunday as well. And we are doing a house party on Saturday, so we'll do a couple of shows with those guys, and yeah, it's such a nice treat. And they're also on the Lockdown Lowdown record I was talking about. They're another act on that album.
So when you come
Yeah,
over to
awesome.
Melbourne, what day are you flying over?
We're catching the boat Friday. We've got a day sail Friday, so we'll end up in Geelong Friday night. Probably just hang out somewhere and play some music and have a quiet beverage and enjoy the Big Island.
So, have you got many gigs around Melbourne? Let us know what you're doing. I know you mentioned
That's only the one.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so we're doing a house party at Barwon Heads, and then on Sunday we're going to come and hang out with you guys, and then we'll get back home on Monday.
Yeah.
So
2
shows.
Yes, thanks for making a special effort to come and see us. We're sure looking forward to it.
Oh, we love it.
Yeah,
we love it.
No, we're going to have a ball. That's all I got, Pete. Yes, we're so much looking forward to seeing you on Sunday. I hope the water's not too rough for you on that trip over. You can get a bit choppy, you know. Yeah. Are you a good sailor?
Yeah, look, it's not too bad. It's like you said, it is a pretty rough stretch of water, and I've definitely been on some pretty rough crossings. But
I guess it's easy. So, what do you bring your van over or something? It's probably easier to do that, isn't it, than having to hire cars and stuff.
It's much easier. It's financially, it's a bit of a burden, but I guess you save on hire car, you save on hiring gear, and that way you've got all your own stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a catch-22, and it's the time it takes as well as busy individuals. You know, sitting on a ship for 12 or 8, whatever it is, 15 hours seems like a long day, but.
All right. Well, we're sure glad you're coming, and we'll see you Sunday. And bring plenty of merch with you too, because we're pretty good sellers.
Excellent.
All right, mate. We'll see you on Sunday.
Bring the whole lot.